Typotheque presents New Thai Type, Insights on Font Choices and Reading Performance by Peter Bilak, Hector Mangas Afonso, and Mint Tanti Suwanna.
Hello. My name is Peter Bilak. This is Hector, and this is Mint, as you could figure out, local hero. I'm very pleased to be here. Some other people are not able to be here with us, whose work we'll be also presenting. So this is a small team. We are based in the Netherlands, and we are all of different nationality, I think, which summarizes part of our work quite well. And we are a type company. We design typefaces, design over time plenty of 200 plus font families. Many of them are fairly complex, covering hundreds of different styles, dozens of different languages, dozens of different scripts. So one of the things we do is that we work with different writing scripts. And approach that we chose to do is we realized that it's kind of difficult to make one localization of one font and to get it right. I think there's so many unknowns that the chance of doing something for the first time successfully is actually very low. So what we prefer doing, instead of designing one version of one font, we often choose to deep dive into a new area of design. So we choose an area, a new script, and we try to investigate it as much as we can, collect historical information, collect what has been made, what succeeded, what failed, trying to learn from this. And instead of designing one typeface, design a collection of different fonts. So a lot what we'll be talking about is about this approach. And I think this also benefits that Latin is very rigid script that often projects one possibility for every letter. But with many other writing scripts, there's enormous wealth and richness of scripts. And it's hard to choose one form. So we really like to capture these different voices for different situations and for different situations. So what we've been doing in the past is we're doing an Arabic type program, started a decade ago, which actually led to foundation of a separate company. So we have a sister company, Typotheque Arabic, that operates now independently. We work with the South Asia type program, which also led to foundation of company. I'm no longer involved in this. And then we worked on a Georgian type program, looking again at the history of a fairly small script, the very ancient one, trying to see what we can contribute and how we can work with local people and local knowledge. And finally, we worked also with the North American type program, focusing on indigenous languages. And there's more than Latin. There's several languages in North America, several writing scripts, and hundreds of languages. And here we'll talk about a new project that we'll present in a bit. And many of these projects are presented finally in a book form, which allows kind of conclusion of what we do. And often we love to get involved with, so this is an event we organize in Tbilisi in Georgia when we publish the Georgian book, getting feedback from the people and seeing like how, our work has to go both ways. We produce semi-products, which are only completed by, interaction of designers. So we worked until now with quite a few scripts. I think we engaged with 40-something different writing scripts, 41 if I counted correctly. And again, these are writing scripts, so these are umbrella terms. No one speaks Cyrillic. People speak specific version which uses Cyrillic, for example, Bulgarian. And that language may have a very specific needs. And we need to understand the reading preferences and what people expect to see when they're working with one language. And often they are competing interests. So other language from the same script may require something different. I think what you may be familiar with is like a Han script, which there are localized variants, and same Unicode can be represented by different forms. So this happens almost for every script that we work with, and we need to understand how people prefer seeing their language. So for this reason, we often need to engage with research. And what I mean by research is not just Googling for information or going to the library, but answering fundamental questions to which there are no current answers. So we do one form of research looking at regional variants, regional research. which can be a simple question. For example, question would be, do you have a font that supports Nepali? And the answer is, we covered the entire Unicode range, so we know there'll be nothing missing, but we still don't have a confidence that the text is rendered in a way how a Nepali reader would prefer to see the text. And in order to have the confidence that we serve the right font to right people, we need to find that answer. And that answer is not currently present in any of the books or information that we can find. And for this reason, we will have to organize research ourselves. So Devanagari is a huge script and covers many different geographic areas, and roughly can be split in 3 parts, the Nepali speaking, Marathi speaking, and Hindi speaking. And by doing this, we would come across many different forms of the same letters. So for example, you see the numerals, the same form having many different variations. And we wouldn't struggle to understand what the differences between these forms are. What is the difference? Are these stylistic variants, or is it different demographic preferences? Is it a regional preference? Again, with the absence of body of knowledge that would answer it, we took it on ourselves to find out. So we would organize on-the-ground research to ask people, and this has to be scaled to approach as many people as we can. In this case, we approach about 500 people, ask them questions about what they recognize, what they prefer, and what they learn to use. And we would get some answers, and that would be documented. The documentation is very important, which is open source. You can have a look. It's published. And finally, we would be able to come up with recommendations for ourselves, but also for others. So if you're creating a Devanagari font, aiming for Nepali readers, now we know that these forms would be preferred. And some other fonts may not be familiar to other readers. So this is a way to introduce what I mean by research, because we'll be talking a lot about research when we get to Hector's work. And I'm going to this slide, which is a recent project, which I'm not going to go in depth. We worked recently on a custom typefaces for Ford Motors. And it started with Latin, and slowly we developed other language scripts. I think we developed 8 different language variants of the fonts. And the question of Thai came up. And of course, the first question is, which Thai should we use for this situation? And there is a intuition saying like a long text would require looped, and a short text maybe get away with loopless. But what in a situation when the text is actually short, but also very small? So it creates a novel reading situations for which we're not really sure what is the right answer. And we had hoped that there would be some reliable sources to recommend, like for this reading situation, for these conditions, this would be the right choice. And often, because of absence of this, people design 2 versions, and then we have to make a choice which one to use. So after doing this project, we didn't have a chance to time it well, but then we were discussing it, like this would be ideal situation to identify the questions and ask Hector, who is a cognitive scientist with background in psychology, to develop a methodology at looking at performance of reading. And this is how I pass the mic to Hector to talk about the second part.
Wonderful. Thank you, Peter, for that great interaction. Yes. So what I do at Typotheque mainly is cognitive research, and that is basically the processes that lead reading. So what I do is look at how people read and analyze how typography affects that. And one of the ways that we have to understand how people read is with eye tracking patterns. Those are the patterns that the eye follows, the sight follows, to read a text. In this example above, there's 2 simple sentences, one simpler than the other. And this precise example shows the fixations. So the black dots represent fixations. Those are the moments where the eyes lay and rest to read each of the words. And if we compare these 2 graphs, these 2 images, we can see that the more complex sentence has more fixations. In this case, it's 2 more. We can also see that there's a backward fixation over there between 8 and 9. So the person was a bit confused trying to reread the word. And this shows us that there's a complexity in the process of reading. So it's very insightful for us to analyze eye tracking to understand how reading is is happening. In the case of typography and typographic research, we're not interested in the content per se, we're more interested in the form. So instead of changing the content, instead of changing the text, we would change the font. In the case of this precise research, the presence of loops. So we would be looking at whether or not there's loops in the text, and if that affects the eye tracking patterns of the reader. So in a nutshell, this represents performance. So how well the person can read the text. Eye tracking gives us a very insightful analysis of the performance of reading. And it does very well with continuous reading. But this is just one of the things we can analyze when we want to understand the effects of loops, the very first one of them. So to do that, we came here to Bangkok a year ago now, and at Chula, we performed a study. We contacted the university, and they were very helpful with us. They provided us with this wonderful eye tracker. These are eye tracking glasses, which allow you to see both the exterior, so what the person is seeing, and also the interior, so the eyes of the person. So we could present users with a paragraph of text and analyze what they were reading. So this is the feed of the eye tracker as it was recording. On the right, you can see the exterior, so what the person is looking at, and on the left, the 4 cameras that are looking inward to the eyes. You can see there's some spots of light on the 4 cameras. Those are what the eye tracker is looking at. So it's looking at reflections of those little infrared lights. So the person would read a paragraph and then react with a keyboard and then answer a comprehension question afterwards. And they would do this a multitude of times. So they would do this a total of 24 times, 12 with loops and 12 without loops. So 12 texts would be presented with and 12 would be presented without. So this is a good measurement of continuous reading, right? We analyze the data that's being generated with those eye tracking patterns and see if there's a difference between the text with loops and the text without loops. But this is not enough to understand performance. We need to also look at distance reading. That is, when the text is presented at a very small size, how easy is it to discern the character, right? And so basically, we had to design a different experiment for this because the methods for the continuous reading weren't gonna help us with distance reading research. So we developed another experiment that we also ran at Chula. This experiment had a screen farther from the participant, 2.5 meters away, and the task was very simple. So a string of 4 letters would appear on the screen at a very small size, and the person had to react as soon as they could discern the string of letters, and then tell us, okay, out of these 4 options, which one did you just read with a keyboard again? And they repeated this 120 times. It was a very repetitive task for the poor participants that took part. So we're very grateful for them. And in total, it was 41 people, Thai readers, native readers that happened to be in Bangkok during the time that we were doing the experiment. And it seems like it's not a lot of people for such a big conclusion, but if we think about it, it's a lot of data points. Mind you, the eye tracker was recording at 90 hertz per second. And so 2 minutes of recordings equals 10,800 data points. So just 2 minutes of reading give us a lot of very insightful information. So with 40 participants, we had more than enough. We made sure that they were the appropriate ages. So we balanced them in age, also in gender, and in the capacity to read, basically, Thai. So these two give us a very good idea of performance, but we wanted to go a bit farther, and we also wanted to understand the opinions that Thai readers have toward loops. Because we had the notion that there's biases. People have opinions about the presence of loops, and we wanted to map them and have an empirical proof of these opinions, right? So we started by asking participants, how readable is the text? And we would do this by showing them in isolation, so that it would be shown in a vacuum, a set of applications of Thai text. So for example, here you can see a car infotainment system. The second one is a branding example. And the third one is a visit card for a business as well. And so the participant would rank with a 1 to 100 slider. Okay, how readable do you find this text? A bunch of times. And then they would also do it in the other version of text, so looped and loopless. And we also asked, which of these do you prefer? So after asking in isolation, we asked in context. So we were trying to see, okay, do people prefer one or the other depending on the context that the text is shown? And it turned out that yes. I will go through the results in a sec. But yeah, we did this, and also for each of the texts, we also did some semantic mapping. So we asked people, okay, which of these labels applies to this text? And so they could choose, okay, this one's boring, this one's honest, this one feels classical. And with that quantitative data, we could then draw some results. And we did this with 139 people. It's many more because the survey didn't look at that many, collected that much data. But again, it was thousands and thousands of data points that were very useful for the results, which I will discuss now, the exciting part. So the results from our research, the contemporary effects of tie loops, show the following. So for in terms of performance, for distance reading, we saw that people that were younger had a better performance with loopless text. So people that were younger perceived loopless in distance reading better than looped. Whereas older people didn't show that pattern. It was the opposite. So we found the opposing effect for older people. So in a nutshell, for when it comes to distance reading, so reading text in very small sizes, the presence of loops only helps a certain demographic, in this case, older people. When we looked at the continuous reading analysis, we found that the readers of all ages found the running loopless as equally legible as the looped alternative. And we found the same for loopless. And in terms of opinion, of connotations, we found the following, that it's perceived as less, looped is perceived as less legible in all settings and more considered modern and unusual. And loopless is has higher perceived legibility, especially when it's said in large passages. All of these findings have just come out today. We have just released a full report on these findings. You can read it now on our website. And all of the data that we've collected is open sourced. You can download it as well, the data set that we've generated. And it's available under Creative Commons license by SA 4.0, which allows you to use it even for commercial purposes. So feel free to check it out, typotheque.com/research, and you'll find a lengthy article, both in English and Thai, about this. So yeah, thank you.
If all went well, you also find a copy of the book in your goodie bag,
which has the essay as well, this essay.
Okay, so hello. So after everybody's meticulous hard work, we will proudly present the new Thai type. And as Peter said, if all goes well, you should have one in your hand. And it's good to have a new addition to our current collection. The first one would be Indigenous North American type. And then in 2023, like Peter said, we also did organize an event to present the new Georgian type in Georgia. And today, 2025, in Bangkok at BITS, it's the new Thai type. So I gotta say that the first time we have the book in our hand, we're like, oh, whoa, it's thick. Like, it's thicker than the two books we had before. And of course it's thick. It's not just a specimen. It's also a book that gives you an overview of Thai typography. So to start, we had Anutin Wong Sankhakon, who did write an introduction. Thank you, Ajanu. So we started with that, and I have to say that we added an illustration for the article. So if there's anything, it's not Anutin, it's Mint for the illustration. So just a disclaimer here, it's not historical evolution of the letter of any kind. Like if you read it, once you read it, you would see that it's just like a brief overview of the spectrum from traditional loop to modern loopless. So I think it's helpful for people who are not so familiar with Thai typography. Sometimes you see loop and loopless and you think it's sans and serif. It's not, it's just not. So Tho Tan, for example, the character I use in this illustration, you can remove everything and it's still absolutely legible. I mean, people like it or not, that's a different story. But it's absolutely legible. That's because there's no other character that looks similar to it. So there's no confusing pair. But for most letter in Thai, you cannot do that. So it's not just like cutting out serif and it's okay. It's not. So I think by reading the overview, you actually learn a little bit more about the script. But also, if you want something more historical, we also have the history section. And we were very fortunate to work with Ajahn Prasha Suwidanont. So you might have known him from the book แกะรอยตัวพิมพ์ไทย Yeah, I said that right? Okay. And yeah, so we worked with him for this section of the book, so we would provide better understanding of the script evolution. And then after, we have the research part. Oh, it's cut off a little bit, but it's okay. Basically a version of a summary of Hector's research in an easier words so people like me could understand. And I don't have to go through the whole scientific stuff. So the summary is in your hand. That's nice. And then we have the specimen. We worked with different local designers, most of them sitting here in this room as well. First, Sirin Gankloy, somewhere here. Ah, yay, at the back. Hello. Yeah, so we had Sirin did a few fonts for us, not just a few, actually, many. And then we have Smich Smalot from Cadson Demak as well, sitting somewhere here, I hope. Okay, and we also have Ekalak Pian Panawet, and it's a total collection of 50 fonts. But actually,
You're forgetting one more designer.
Oh, who? Oh, me. Okay, hey, yeah. Thank you, Peter. And even though it says collection of 50 fonts, it's actually more than 50 because some of our fonts there are loop and loopless. Ah, ta-da! So if you go on our website, you can actually switch between loop and loopless, right?
Available from today.
Yay! Woo! So when Peter came up with this project and the team, the website team as well, we thought about how we would show it and how we would sell it and everything. And I think I told Peter that there are multiple scenarios in Thailand where both loop and loopless is always needed for the most effective communication. So I think it makes the most sense in the end that if you buy November Thai, you get both loop and loopless. Am I right?
They're not available separately. You get two for the price of one, basically.
Yes. And okay, so now some projects, effective communication is not the key. It's not the priority. So if we want something fun, we do that as well. Ta-da! This typeface is called Manu. It comes with a number of effects. It's useful for everything, like comic book, I don't know, sounds to soda popped open sound. And if you don't like it, you can also turn it off, like ciao. So if you go to discretionary literatures, you can choose to turn the effect on or off. And it's super fun to use. This is the overview of the fonts that we did. We are super happy that today we can share all of them with you. It's a lot, but we're also super aware that everything is a work in progress. We're learning as well. So it's good because at Typotheque, you get updates. Do you want to talk more about this, Peter?
Well, I think that the past has taught us that we do make mistakes and we recognize it and then we try to fix them. So over time, we often, when we see that things can be improved, we don't hesitate. We do improve it. And these updates are available for free. So receive fonts as software, which can be upgraded, can be expanded, can be improved. And you get, anything that comes in the future, it will be included in this package already.
So, I mean, if you use our fonts on FontStan, or if you buy the fonts from the Typotheque website and you see that something is wrong or a mark is not, I mean, we try our best to make sure that everything comes out as complete or as functional as possible. But if there are cases that you see something that can be improved, please tell us. Like, we would be very, very happy to do so. And like, as Peter said, you can always download and update. You will also get a notification if it's already ready for you. And so as a Thai person joining the team, when the project is almost done, I talked to Peter and he said, like, it would be nice if we could show the fonts. So I told him that let's do a poster. Actually, it's not just about showing the fonts, but I believe that if you want to see if the fonts really work or how it would look in the real world, it's about testing them as well. So I did a few posters using all of the fonts in the library, trying to make them in different styles. Yeah, this is a few of them. You can see it in the book.
There was pristine from Mint. There, again.
Oh, this one. Yeah, this is long story short, I just graduated and this was my graduation project, and yeah, it will be released with Typotheque soon. Thank you, Peter.
Oh, we're super excited. I mean, Mint mentioned that she joined us last year, which was, this was a 6-year project, so it was towards the end. But I don't think we could have concluded it, the way it is without Mint. In overviewing the fonts, making decisions about, what can be and needs to be improved, making all the right choices for the book, preparing all the graphics. So involvement is substantial in every way. Thank you.
Thank you. And just because we have some time left, just in addition to that, for this poster, it's mainly set in pristine, right? And the dates were set in Greta Sands by Smith and Cadson Demak. But also, you see the mini, how do you say, star signs, horoscope signs, zodiac signs, or yeah, you know what I'm talking about. We use Z icons.
Oh.
Yeah, that we just released. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
It's unrelated, but there's a project called Z, which comes with 2,000 variable icons with 3 variable axes, and they can match different styles of fonts, from light to heavy to round to non-round to optical axes. And we found it like, if you do care about communication and accessibility and inclusivity in languages, we should try to do it also, in pictorial terms. And often, it was really fun to localize the symbols, to find that sometimes the same version of the symbol needs local variant. You think of, for example, a symbol for ambulance. In different parts of the world, the ambulance needs to look different. You need to move in different moving direction. And also finding out what are the typical symbols in different places, in different cultures. So we designed very specific Thai pictograms as well.
No durian, for example. And also, if you go to the set page, you can suggest an icon. If you think we are missing something and something would be great, I don't know, like to the collection, we would happy to do it.
2,000 is a few though.
So 2,000 is the starting point, and from there on grows. So people already suggested some, so it's going to grow, and I think there's a plan for 500 at least additional icons. And also fun is that you find, and with the variable 3 axes, you tune and create your own style, which is quite powerful.
So the Thai fonts, we are slowly releasing it. Not everything that you see today is released yet, but it's going to come soon. Like this one is Z, for example. There's back slanted as well. Yeah, this is the overview of the posters. And I would like to say that all of the fonts that are ready are now available on FontStan.
which I don't know if you have any idea what it is. That's a streaming app where you can try things for free, or you can rent it per month. And it's a very affordable way to try or use high quality fonts for a fraction of a price. If you're not familiar with it, give it a try. You can find Cadson Demak fonts there, or many other foundries, 60 other foundries there too.
And I guess that's it for today. But if you still want to read more, we have articles online, both Hector's research and Peter's blog about the whole project. And we also work with local illustrator to make illustrations for the project, same as the one on your postcards you have in your goodie bags. So, yep, I think this summarizes our project. So thank you.